Wase, my beautiful people. This is your boy Stefan, your Afro Grenadian ambassador. Welcome, welcome, one and all, back to my channel. Well, guys, as promised, today we have a very, very important panel discussion. It's not the ordinary type of panel discussion that I usually have, and it's around the topic reparations, a very controversial issue. But with me today, I have some top Pan-Africanists from Africa, and we have Ambassador Osho Anago. I see him in the studios, and I will pull him up on screen with me. Welcome, welcome, Ambassador. Welcome. And then we have Kenyan Beast all the way from Kenya, another great Pan-Africanist, and I will pull him up on screen with as well. So welcome, welcome, one and all. Also, I have a dear friend with me, Leviticus. Yes, dear friend and a brother as well, all the way from Kenya. And we also have others joining. There are some others that will be coming along. Okay, so just give me a minute. I think Go See Africa will be here, and we have a Pan-Africanist joining us from my very own country, Grenada. All right. But as we wait on them, guys, welcome. Welcome to the live. Ambassador Osho Anago, welcome. The Black Geo. Oh, the Black Geo is here. Welcome, welcome. So Go See Africa is here.
Welcome, guys.
Yes.
How you doing? How you guys doing?
Welcome, welcome, Black Geo. And then we have the Kenyan Beast. Yes, the Black Geo is a African American. Usually travels to Kenya. He collaborates with Go See Africa, and he loves Africa as well. So welcome, my dear friend. Well, for those of us who are in the comment section, I want to welcome my viewers. Welcome to you guys. I thank you all for joining. And for those of you who have been who are joining for the first time, and you may not know my guests that are here, you may not be familiar with them because it's your first time, I will give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. So I will start in the order that I'm seeing it with Ambassador Anago Osho. My dear brother, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of where you're from, Nigeria?
It's a privilege to be here. It's 5:09 Nigerian time here in Lagos. I don't know what time it is over there. Thank you, my brother, for this opportunity. And it's a great privilege, to be able to voice my voice. I am Anago Osho, Ambassador Anago Osho. I am a local tour operator. I also organize international tours, but basically my tours, the specialty is bringing Africa diaspora, taking them all around Nigeria, showing them the cultural heritages that we have, taking them to meet the people. Because if you walk on the street of Lagos, for example, or you are in Abeokuta, or you are in Badagry, if you are from the Caribbean or South America, or wherever you are from, if you are from Africa diaspora, it will be difficult for anyone to notice where you are from, because you always see people that look like you. So I organize all that, and
Yeah.
I'm into training. I train people too. I train tour guides, because tourism is huge, and I try to use tourism. Once people know what they have, once they know the value of what they have, it will help them to be able to preserve it. It's a privilege for me to be here and to meet the great panelists.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ambassador Anago Osho was here on this live before, and we had a wonderful live. It was a success. A lot of us, the information that he shared was very eye-opening, and I really greatly appreciate him for being here once again. The Black Geo, my dear brother, we're not seeing your face, man. We're not seeing you. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're from?
Well, you guys, I apologize. I don't know if you know, but I'm down in Brazil right now for a week
Okay.
shooting content. We have a series for the next 3 months. Brazil and another special country will be on the Black Geo and Go See Africa. I'm actually stepping in for Go See Africa right now. because he's dealing with some under the weather issues. He's been on the coast of Kenya. If you guys tap into Go See Africa, the biggest producer in East Africa. He's doing real good out there. But we send each other on missions. I don't know if you know you guys. I'm glad to meet you guys. Afro Grenadian, the top YouTuber in the islands. What's up, my brother? How you doing, sir? How you been? How you been, man?
Yes, we are doing great. We are
Okay,
doing great,
okay.
and it's nice to have you here. I am looking forward to hear our views on the issue of reparations. Kenyan Bis, you are up, and Kenyan Bis is, I always say, a dear brother who is very close to me. He's one of those people that have motivated me to start this channel, be what I am today. So I will give him the opportunity to introduce himself, tell us a little bit of himself, and his location where he's in Kenya. Yeah. Your mic is muted. Yeah.
Okay. I am Kenyan Beast from Nairobi, Kenya, in Africa. I'm a content creator. I'm a Pan-African. As I always say, we always do it an African way. So that's me.
Uh, one, you hearing me, Kenyan Beast? Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you. Do you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, I didn't hear the last word you said, but I'm hearing you now.
Okay. I just said I am Kenyan Beast from Nairobi, Kenya, or from Kenya 254. From Africa. I am a content creator. I am a Pan-African, and we're trying to connect all black people from this side, from my end. That's what I do.
Wonderful,
And I'm happy to be
wonderful,
here. Yeah.
wonderful. I think Leviticus should be here with us, but I'm not seeing him in the studio. Is he
He has
around?
he has he has problems with connecting with his phone.
Oh,
Yeah. We
okay.
are
Well, he
trying to
can keep. Yeah, try to. Well, yeah, you guys could try rectifying it, and I will keep an eye on my end to add him on
okay.
screen. Yeah. So, guys, we will get into the topic of reparations, and we are all familiar with the Atlantic slave trade. We are all familiar because when we talk about reparations, it has to do around the transatlantic slave trade, and even we had in East Africa, which is known as the Arabic slave trade as well. Many of our African foreparents were taken from the continent not only through the transatlantic slave trade, but also through the Arabic slave trade as well. But our focus is generally on reparations. Now, there are many arguments. Okay, so Leviticus, I'm seeing you. Let me see. I'm not getting an option to add you on screen. I'm only seeing your name, but I'm not getting an option to add you on screen. Yeah, I'm not getting an option to add you on screen, but I will keep on trying to see what I can do on my end. Yes, so there are many discussions on reparations and what reparation is and what reparation is not. So I will start with you, Ambassador Anago. When you hear the word reparations, what it means to you?
Well, for us as Pan-Africanists, for us as bridges between Africa and Africa diaspora, when we hear the word reparation, we're talking about black people being compensated for the unjust treatment. You know, I would like to mention here that over 12 million Africans were taken away. But reparation means payment. In most cases, people, it's about money. It may not be
Yeah,
money. Reparation may be paid in other forms, but in most cases, it's about money being paid or a form of payment, okay, that is being made for something you have acknowledged that you did that is wrong. So you are reparating. So reparation, and we also need to talk about how it began when we talk about reparating black people. or people
Yeah.
of African descent. How did it all began? It all began around 1837, and in England, in the UK,
Yeah.
there was a law. Yes, there was a law called the Slave Compensation Law or the Slave Compensation Act. Now, those who own enslaved people were compensated, and about 3,000 families were compensated. About 3,000 families, and history documented that they were paid about 20 million pounds. About 3,000 families paid
Wow.
about 20 million pounds. And when I think about that, I begin to wonder what could have brought about that. You see, we as black people, we as people of African descent, we need to really be objective in
Yeah.
whatever we do so that at the end of the day, we are able to achieve our purpose
Yeah.
today and even tomorrow for our children. So I began to wonder how come about 3,000 families were compensated 20 million pounds. The reason for that time was because
Okay, so we lost Ambassador Anagosho. Before he comes back, I want to acknowledge Boom Junglewood, who is a channel member of mine. Thank you for Boom Junglewood for joining us, a African American all the way from the United States, always logging in. Thank you very much, my dear sister, for your love and your support. So, as Anisha Anago, we lost him as he reconnects. I will come to you, the Black Geo. When you hear the word reparations, what
Yes,
comes
sir.
to mind?
Well, for me, I told you I have a unique experience. My parents, I was only born in America. My parents were from Liberia, West Africa. My grandfather is from Nigeria. Okay, I'm related to the Bassa Jibo people all the way from Egypt, who migrated through the Mali Congo, who ended up in Cameroon and Liberia. So, and also I'm related to ancestors from the Americas, from Barbados. You understand? From Trinidad. So when I speak about reparations, it has to be a global thing because each nation, I have ancestors from each nation outside of America to the islands to Nigeria. We cannot speak on reparations as a singular thing. Collectively, we have to come up with a bargain between all our African nations on this reparations topic. In America, you have people in America who don't even consider themselves connected to the Africa, to the
Mhm.
island people. They coming up with a separate reparations package, but they don't understand that culturally we all have to come together and know that we are all African people. We all come from the same continent. We all have to have one collective bargain for each of these nations because if I go through the list of colonization, every country benefited. Britain, France, Germany, Portugal, Spain, Belgium, Italy. So it's not just America. We're going to ask for money, and we can't just ask for money because them giving us money is no money that that you can give us that will pay us for colonialism, slavery, Jim Crow. You understand, my brother, Afro Canadian. They built up
Yeah.
many nations, people, generations after generations. This is a 400 years of generations built up. It's no number you can put and say that we're going to be comfortable with. You have to. It's going to be more than just money. It has to be land, resources, something that that's going to relive for the next 50 to 100 generations. You just give a lot of people in America money, even in Africa, the islands. We're going to take that money and go take it right back to Italy. Going to take it, go buy some tennis shoes. They're going to take it, go spend it on a regular vacation. Who who's going to sit down before I do? To me, I'm to the point where if nobody has a collective idea about reparations, don't bring me nothing about reparations. We'll go out there and get our own money. Because if you're waiting for the white man to give you money and you guys, we don't even have like what we're doing right here. I love it. Because we need about 10,000 of these discussions about what we would do if we'll ever get money from the people who enslaved us and our ancestors. First off, we're a generation, we're not as strong as that old generation who dealt with what we want to be compensated for. We need to be out there praising to the ancestors. I don't see a lot of us at the ancestors' grave sites, at the ancestors' walk or houses or these ancient lands that they walked, but we're asking for money from people who dealt with things that we didn't deal with. We're dealing with the aftermath. But the physical presence, we need to acknowledge what our people went through, acknowledge that we are part of one each other, and have a collective bargain about reparations. I'm not here to talk about one country reparations. I just told you, one of my grandfathers was the president, third president of Liberia. My brother right here, I'm also Yoruba. Yes, my grandfather is from Nigeria. So I was only born in America. My parents left Liberia to go to America. So it's no difference between Liberia struggle, America struggle. I need a collective bargain from Grenada to Liberia. So America to Kenya. We all got to come up with one collective group, because if they just give us money, they will inflate this money, these economies, and our money won't be worth anything. You think the white man would just give you $1 million of his money and say, "Oh, we apologize"? No. So we need to start asking for more than just money. We need to start asking for land, resources, gold, even our music that we put out. Bob Marley, we need Bob Marley's greatest hits. Yeah, we need to go to Sony. All these things that we created. We created a lot of things, even like when it comes to electricity, the power engine car. The reason why you have all these powered devices from around the world, from cars to refrigerators to airplanes. Those are all created by African people. So we got to go back and not just ask for money. We got to go back and ask for our devices back, our licenses on things that we created. That's a whole different story. People don't even want to tap into. So yeah, when it comes to reparations with me, if nobody's sitting down and have a clear message of where this money will actually go for the next generation, I don't even want to talk about reparations, because you see, Arthur Grenada, you follow me, right? You see what I do from Africa to South America to even America. How many people do you see with me on the
Wonderful.
street? No, answer the question. How many people do you see on the street with me? How many people do you see, other than go see Africa, how many people do you see on the street with me working hard for Africa? How many people? You see the videos. How many people do you see? None. Thank
Nothing,
you.
nothing. Yeah,
Nobody.
not.
You don't see no, exactly. So until I see a group of Africans who see what I do and see what you do, you see I support you from afar. I'm always jumping in your lives. If people, we got to start supporting each other. We can make each other rich before the white man give us money, but we don't support each other. So miss me with the reparations talk until I see real nationalism and real African Pan-Africanism, and we start making each other rich. Then we can start talking about where we're going to put this money, because we'll build our own systems. That's what I'm talking about. So I will let my brother go next, but that's a little small that I want to talk about. I got more to say, people.
Thought, that, that is thought provoking. Thank very well said. And you said it right. I think it's a issue where we need to put aside our differences and come together. Because I was really surprised, even in the community, the Black community in America, how there are so many factions. There are some Black Americans who don't even identify themselves as African Americans. I thought all Americans, Black Americans, had the same thinking, and it was really unfortunate. I was able, I learned that there was all these different factions with different ideologies. And I think if we we cannot achieve our goal if we are so factional and divided. So Kenyan Beast, before I come to you, I want to acknowledge the Embu girls. Welcome to the live. Thank you very much for joining. And yes, Boom Jungle Wood, he sung. I'm pleased to meet this African American who is an Afro descendant. Most of them are FBAs. I thought the FBAs were like Afro descendants who had the same thinking, but I was wrong. So Kenyan Beast, coming to you, when you hear the word reparations, what comes to your mind?
First of all, do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so when I hear about reparations, I have different ideology, because it's not about money or anything. Personally, when I hear about reparation, I want something to do like giving Africa back to Africans. Because even if you give out money, like the story of I think it's Italy or France, where they are giving $30,000 or some amount for them to go back to their home. So
just stick up in there. Leviticus, I'm seeing him. His camera is not enabled. I don't know if that's the problem that he's facing.
There's a problem with his camera.
Camera. Okay, all right. Go ahead. Yeah.
So when when the story about reparation, I want to hear about giving Africa back to Africans. Reparations to me means that they don't have to come between Africans decisions or Africans, all of that. They don't have to come between us. So that's for me giving back Africa to Africans. Because when I talk about money, it's like we are begging them to give us what was lost and something like that. But that will not last for long. But when they stop their uh, their interaction to us, when they stop coming to Africa to exploit Africa, to take the resources of Africa, that means reparation to me. So for me, reparations is not about being paid amount of money or being given back the gold they took, or being given back the everything they took. No, they can stay with that. They can have that forever. But leave us alone. Let us be free. The freedom is what Africans need, is what Black people need. The freedom for us to make decisions, the decisions for the freedom for us to choose our own people during election, the decision for us to to control our own resources. That's reparation for me. Because if we talk about being paid the amount, some amount of money, okay, you will pay me the amount of money, but you are still exploiting me. So it doesn't mean a lot. It's just you are giving something to me and you will take it back. So reparation to me is somehow deeper. It's deeper than just payment of money or giving back the resources that you took, the gold, the what, or giving back the land you took. For me, is them to stop interfering with the matters of Africa, is to leave Africa to decide for themselves. Because even now we have African Union, but AU is still being is like a vehicle that is carrying them, So I just want a day when we as African countries will start making our own decision. Now that's reparation to me. That will be the biggest reparation ever. Leave along these all payments and everything, because first of all, when we are in the streets protesting about reparation, because last time when Jamaicans were on the street, when the Prince of England was there, so they were protesting about reparation. It's like they are going to their panels and discussing as Black people that we are not civilized, that any small thing we are going to the road, any small things we are protesting. We don't want to be seen as uncivilized people. We don't want to be seen as people of third class. We don't want to be seen as beggars. We don't want to be seen as people who are going to the corridors of IMF begging for money. We want Africa back for Africans. That's the biggest reparation for me.
Very well said. Very well said. Ambassador Osho, you got cut off, so I will allow you to resume where you left off.
The network was cutting me off and coming in, but I'm glad. You know, I'm glad to be back. We need to go back into history and understand the origin. The other panelists have spoken so well, but action speaks louder than voice. When we talk about reparation, everything is not all about money. And another question that usually come up is who should be reparated? You understand? Because some will argue that okay, who should be reparated? Is it the descendants in the Americas? Okay, the descendants, Afro descendants in the Americas. Is it should individuals be paid? Should
Uh,
communities
and
be
it's
paid?
important that, and you said it right, who should be reparated, and if that particular people are reparated, where the money is going, what if it will go
Can I can
towards?
I can I say something right quick, please? And
Yes.
I'm just adding to Ambassador Osho. And when you said that, who should be paid? It's a dangerous thing because not only we have people in America, even people in the islands, Now you got people in Africa, they bleach themselves. People are saying this thing called people of color. They're not calling themselves African descent. That's a dangerous thing. You see, Kamala Harris, the woman who just became president, she only became black because when she wanted to be president. Now in America, that's the problem. People are saying people of color, people of color. Those same people of color could be from anywhere. They can be anywhere, but they don't have to be African descent. So when we start saying, "Oh, we want reparations," what reparations? Those same people that look like Indians, that look like Arabs, who call themselves people of color, that we as African people are lumping ourselves together, they're going to be the same people getting that reparations check. So we have to differentiate ourselves. Like I said, African people from the Americas to the islands to Africa, we all got to acknowledge that we are one people first before we even lay out what we want to do. And I'm more of an organizational part. I don't even want to talk about money. What organizations are we building so that whenever we get something, it goes to the right places? But you can. I'm going to leave it alone. You can go ahead. But yeah, that was a dangerous thing when people talking about people of color and then distributing money is going to go to places that doesn't look like us. The people will not look like us. Yeah.
Thank you. Ambassador Anago, I will allow you to respond to that. Then I'll come to you, Kenya.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. See. When we talk about Africa diaspora and the motherland Africa, our experiences, past experiences, present experiences, it is very deep. What he said is from a different point of view that is very, very important. And it takes someone that is a deep thinker, it takes someone that is practical in all what we are talking about to really realize that. I have met people who have been on my tour who I thought love Africa, and they have different names. But some of them want to come to Africa just to see what Africa looks like. Some of them want to come to Africa just to see what Africa looks like. Some of them want to come to Africa just to see what Africa looks
All
like.
right, so we lost him again. Very interesting topic. The discussion is getting a little bit fiery. You know, that is
Like
what
I
it's
always
all
talk
about.
about a
Yeah, go ahead.
university that
Yeah.
that came on. So I did a tour. Well, you see, he is very right. He's very right. But what I was trying to say the other time is that if we talk about reparation, and if some people said no, we should be paid, then the question will arise: who should be paid? You understand?
Yeah.
I'm not from the school of thought that we should collect money, but for objective purpose is why I'm saying all this. So who should be paid? If at all somebody should be paid. And he raised a very important point. There are so many people who call themselves people of color, but don't want to be associated with us as Afro Africans, as Africans, Americans, or whatever we call ourselves. They don't want to be associated with the motherland. Okay, but you see, who should be paid? Descendants of Africa in the diaspora? Is it their communities in the diaspora? Is it the countries where they were originally taken from?
Yeah.
Should they be paid? Well, you see, my answer to that, you
Yeah.
see, my answer to that is this. If you see, for Africa, if they pay Africa, I won't lie to you, there will be war. I am not interested in them giving Africa any reparation. Some people may not like what I've just said, but if this colonialists, if they decide to pay Africa, there's going to be war. Who will collect the money? How will the money be shared? That will be trouble all over Africa. We don't need all that here in Africa. When we talk about reparation, look at Grenada, look at St. Lucia, look at the black communities in those places. How are they faring? How are they living? The living standard of these people, can we compare it with the living standard of people of other races where they are in the Caribbean islands? When you look at England, for instance, the machinery, the economy of England, of course, depends on black people. Now, not just black black people from England, even immigrants, black people from Africa who are working in England. They are the machineries. Okay, they are. But you see, in England in 1837, the Reparation Act came up, and money was given to black slave owners. And the question is this: if nobody is thinking about us as Africans, if nobody, because when we talk about reparation, at the back of my mind, for us as black people, I think it's a way of also begging. And I don't want to see us from that perspective of beggars. There should be certain issues that should be on ground. Okay, that because a lot of things happen to us, but when they say black people are divided, do you think black people are just divided? Do you think that it is also a machinery that is being perpetrated by some people? Why is it that they don't want black people to be united? My my board of contention is that black people all over the world that have similar interests, people of like minds, we should locate each other and come up with an agenda. I was trying to say the other time that I did a tour of an historical black university where we were able to see the history of black people in Africa.
Okay, so we lost Ambassador there. Kenyan Bisa, I'll come to you. Um, I sense that there are some things you want to say, so you can go ahead.
Yeah. So I will continue. I will continue from where my brother has left. He was asking this question: who should be paid? Is it descendants? Is it African Americans? Is it
See,
people from
Yeah,
Caribbean?
and
Who
that's a
should be
big
paid?
that is the big question. Who should be paid? Who
Yeah,
should be paid? Yeah.
because as we know, there's a lot of things going in Africa, because nothing in Africa ends with in a polite way, with just a civilized way. Even if it's election, there's some glitches. Anything, there's some glitches. In a family, people are sharing land, some glitches. Everywhere in Africa, we have glitches everywhere. So we may protest and say that we need to be paid this reparation, and then the colonizer will say, okay, here we got to the reparation, and the reparations, maybe they are being paid, money is coming to the maybe to the government, so the government will channel the money to the local government so that the people can be paid. Okay, let me tell you something for free. Even if we cannot agree, both of us, but Africa is full of corruption. And this was the thing that was installed to us. It's like a software that was installed to us since colonization. So corruption is something that's it's recurring. So even if this reparation is given in monetary way or it's given in material way, it is hard for it to be shared to the people that's supposed to be. Let me tell you example of Kenya. In Kenya, we have this money is called old people money, the money that old people are being given. But the people who are eating this money are 31 years old, 28 years old. It's not going to the old people because, yeah, because there's a way we have a corruption that it's in most of the African countries. So this reparation, where should it be paid, to whom, and which way will they use, or which format will they use to pay? And that's why from my first statement I said it. I'm not looking for reparation just for the being paying the people who, the deceased people who are on these things, but I am looking reparation in a way of giving freedom to Africans, stop them to stop interfering with African matters, so that we can run our Africa by ourselves, giving back Africa to Africans. That will be the start of a better way of reparation. But if we say we are paying people, okay, maybe my great grandfather was maybe his leg was chopped some days back during colonization. I need this money too because I'm one of them, because my family was deceased. But how will we know that this money will go to the right people? Now, here in Kenya, we have those people who fought for independence. We have the like of Dedan Kimathi, the likes of Mekatilili Wamenza, the people who went to the forest and fought for independence of Kenya. But the person who was given the power of Kenya did not go in the forest. He went somewhere in prison, was prisoned like 1 year, and the white people were there telling him, when you go back, you just do this, give land to your people, and then we will have the system. So even right now, the people who fought for independence in Kenya, they are supposed to be given some amount of money, but that money is not going for them. So tell me, will reparation go to the people who's supposed to go to? If the government is not taking care of the people, the widows of those men who fought for independence, if the government is not looking for them, is not taking good care for them, that means if this reparation is paid in monetary or in materials, it will not go to the right people. So I'm looking at reparation not for just monetary. For me, I see that is like begging, and I don't want to go in that direction. The direction I want to go in a direction of African countries to restore themselves, to restart themselves, to reboot themselves, and to make sure that Africa is for Africans. Our resources is ours. The time I will see my country, the time I will see my president is not a puppet to such country or to one Western country. That is a good reparation for me. That is a good reparation for me. When I see a president from Ghana, from Nigeria, is not a puppet, is not being controlled like a robot. When he is making decisions of his own countries, Africans, people of the countries, the ministers of the countries will make the law of the country themselves without interference of the white supremacy. That's the best reparation for me. I'm not looking reparation like being paid some amount of money, because as my brother Anago Osho had said, it will be just another chaos. Another chaos.
Yeah. Well, I always, I always say, Kenyan Beast, this guy need to be the president of I think he'll do a better job than Ruto. But coming to the Black Geo, I sense you want to say some things concerning that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to add it to my brothers, both of them, Ambassador and Mr. Kenyan Beast. You hit the nail on it. First off, Mr. Ambassador said, where's the money going? And then Kenyan Beast said something again, corruption in Africa. I'm from Liberia, people. In Liberia, no white man can hold office. But is Liberia stable? Mr. Oster, you're close to Liberia. You should know Liberia history. We're struggling with corruption. That's the problem. We need to start, and that's the problem. I'm a black person who started a black organization. I literally give my black resources, my retirement money that should be in a white account, but I take it out to go give it to my black people. Now, I'm one of the only few people who does it that I can call on. I'm not saying I'm the only one, but guess what? When I'm out in these streets, if we can't be here creating organizations for ourselves, the people need to be, not the government. I live in America, also in Africa. In Africa, we spend our money on weave, hair, Michael Jordan shoes, food, ridiculousness. We got about $30 million that come through our hands every year, and we want to talk about reparations. We need to worry about what we're going to do with this $30 million that we spend on ridiculousness every year. It is not just in Africa. It's in America. It's in Australia. It's in London. People are spending $2,000 to go to a Beyonce concert. Well, you could have gave me that money. I would have took it to my school, and I would have fed those 40 kids that I helped out. You see my videos. Those videos are not in vain. I take out money from my own retirement money. I could be sitting on the island not doing this, but I say, you know what? I don't care where this money goes. It's going to a good place. It's not a lot of people like me. Now we have collected, and guess what? I spend time with Jewish people. I spend time with European people, and guess what they do? They create systems for their people. If you go in LA, you go to LA, you go to Beverly Hills, you would think one person live in this big house. No, 10 to 15 people live in this big house together. They collectively gain money, monetary funds for years. And then they're able, 10 years later, to move here, to move there, and do the same thing over and over, to monopolize. I have friends, family. They would never invite me to their house and say, here, this room is for you. You save all your money for the next 5 years so you can be something. They would never do that. We don't do that with each other. We have cars. You don't even want to go pick up your friend to make sure he saves his money, that he go to work every day. You don't do that. My friends don't pick me up either. My family, my friends see me around the world. Do they send me money to my organization? No. Exactly. So before we worry about white men giving us money, we already have $30 million, $60 million, $100 million that come to our communities and
Yeah.
maybe larger communities. We have to know that we have to build ourselves first. Because like my brother said, King and Beast, and then and Mr. Ambassador Osho said, corruption in Africa. You give people money. We don't even own our resources in Africa. The Congo. These people are all these cell phones that we using right now. The Potan, all these things that go in these technologies. The people go there and get it for 5 cents, and they resell it back to us in these cell phones and these TVs and all this stuff for thousands of dollars. We don't have a collective bargain of say, you know what? We see Congo people not getting compensated for iPhone, for getting all these minerals for iPhone. Every year we have a black tax. Every black person that you're calling yourself African descent, right? Okay, you have to chip in 10 USD. I don't care. I don't care how much money you make it. We all have to get a collective account, put this money in this account, and then we have to say, okay, this 20 million is going to Grenada to help. Next year, this 20 million is going to Nigeria to help. Okay, this 20 million, we're not even doing that. So we have our own problems. And like my brother just said, if you go to Africa and just drop money off, trust me, I'm from a civil war country. That's why my parents left Liberia. They had to leave Liberia for a little bit. You give African people who are even not organized this money and drop it off, it'll be chaos. Like he said, chaos. So we need to learn. We need to learn organization, structure. We have to have our own systems. We have to own our own school systems. We have to own our own food systems. Yeah, these things we have to own first before we start taking money from places, because we're not even investing in ourselves. That's why I used to told you I could have let that money sit in the account. I went and invested in people that nobody would have gone to invest in them. And hopefully somebody comes do the same thing for me. But that's what we need to do. We have to be unselfish, and we have to be sacrificial to ourselves. You know,
Yeah.
like my brother said, he has
That
people who come to Nigeria and they don't even consider themselves African. They won't even go in this neighborhood and drop off funds, or they don't even look at the neighborhood and say, you know what can I add into this neighborhood? You know, and I tell you, we need that. I don't care if you're in Grenada, you need to be connected to a neighborhood in Nigeria. Myself, I'm Liberian. I'm connected to many neighborhoods in Kenya. Kenya Beach. You go around Kenya, many people know me. You go around Mozambique, many people know me. It's not no vain thing. When I go to these countries, I make sure I do extensive work. I meet people. I try to do as much as I can, because if I ever get the chance to get as big as I want to, it's going to affect people, because it's already affecting people right now. That's what we need. We need a monopoly. Whatever you're doing has to affect the next community. Too much individualism. We need community. So whatever you're doing has to affect at least 10 to 20 people. And we don't have that. And many people like Kenya Beast know. I know many people in Kenya who have money. They won't give none of their money to nobody in Kenya. You know what I'm saying? He's right. Yeah. It's real. It's thing called old money. Yeah. Some guys are eating up the money, and then you go on the street, it's people who like literally doing all the work in these countries, and they're not getting compensated from their own people. Forget about Chinese and our own people are not compensated our own people. We're not looking out for each other.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not waiting for
That
no check. Yeah, I'm not
yep.
waiting. You see me on the streets. I'm not waiting for no white man check. Not waiting for nothing. Because guess what? I go to the white man and I manipulate his business, and that's why you see us flourishing over here, right? Exactly. I have a compromise with a white business, and I tell him straight up, whatever you're doing has to make sure that I get back to Africa, or I get back to the islands, and I can affect my people. That's the only way. That's the only reason I work with that organization. It's a compromise.
Yeah.
But guess what? If we just sitting back and saying people who don't even want to be a part of your culture should get money, I'm not down with that, because people are not sacrificing their time, their life, and their money Because guess what? That reparations, when I hear reparations, I'm hearing Harriet Tubman, Patrice Lumumba. I'm hearing these people. I'm not hearing this regular person at the corner store drinking beer. No, when I hear reparations, I hear real people. Yeah, Dita Kamathi, my brother, Kenya Beast, I work in Dita Kamathi's neighborhood. If you go on my Instagram, you will see me sitting beside Dita Kamathi. Yeah, I know these people. I research these people. Joe McKeonta, I research these people. You understand? You know? So when I hear reparations, I hear real struggle, real people. And then I look at the present day, and I see people just relaxing, not even care, not even thinking we're in a fight. I'm in a fight every day. You can tell you see my face. People say they see my face in my videos. They be like, "Damn, you look like you're going to." I have 100 problems every day. I may smile, but I have 100 problems going on. But I know that I'm still fighting the hardest struggle. I'm related to real African history, so it would never be a day I'm relaxing.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
Yes. Beautifully said. I mean, everything that you guys said so far is thought provoking. I must confess, I came on this panel with, when it comes to reparation, with money in mind. But what I have just heard from Ambassador Kenyan Beast, the Black Geo, I must agree is that reparations um, is more to do with than just money. Reparation is about giving us our freedom as Black people, as African people, whether you are on the continent, you are outside of the continent, because that is what we need. We need the independence, the freedom to make our the right decisions, to make our own choices. Take for a very good example of that is our brothers in Haiti. Haiti have been suppressed for a very long time, and where other nations, foreign nations, the West always intervene and do not allow them to be the sovereign people that they want to be. So I really have to agree with what you guys are saying. Uh, and I also said, Ambassador, you said it rightly, that it boils down to corruption. I think Kenyan Bisu said it as well. If we are to get reparated through finances, we need to get rid of the corrupt leaders that we usually put there, that mismanage, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have as black people, whichever nation that you are in, nations that are predominantly Black, as Africans, is that we put leaders, we continue to select poor leadership that is mismanaging the resources, of what the people should be enjoying. So that is something we need to do. And Brajir, you said it right also, that we need to start, developing ourselves. We need to start developing ourselves. And if money is to be given to us, we ensure that these monies are going through, is going to, initiatives and projects that will develop the people. If that is not what is happening, then it does not make sense. We are asking for reparations through, through finances. There's a lot to chew on. Kenyan Bisu said it, that, and also Ambassador, you think reparations is begging, and there's mixed feelings about that. And this leads me to the other question that I want to ask. What is your response to people, who say reparation is not, we are not asking for free money. We are asking for money that is owed, that our ancestors have worked for free of cost, suffered on the plantations in North America, South America, the Caribbean, and even in Africa itself. This is not free money that we are asking for. What would be your response to that, Ambassador Osho?
People who say that, to me, it's funny, because as we are talking, you made mention of Haiti. Do you know that Haiti is still paying France? Imagine how many years ago events that happened. Haiti is still paying France. Paying France for what? For becoming free? Paying France for what? Now, I would like to add this. Uh, for if anyone will be paid, if anyone will be paid at all, because honestly, if 3,000 families were paid in England, 3,000 families were paid 20 million pounds, it simply means that they know the descendants of those that work for them that could
Mhm.
be paid. I'm also from the school of thought that if these people who own human beings could be paid, then it is justifiable that those who, the descendant of those who suffered, should also be compensated. Yes, and then when we talk about compensation, I wonder why, the major problem that I see in all of that is the psychological trauma. And when I say psychological trauma in us as black people, it came to be as a result of the years of enslavery that have affected us mentally. Because I begin to wonder, for example, using Nigeria as a case study, maybe a state governor or a local government chairman, how would one man steal the money that belonged to every citizen of the state or the local government? I think it is psychological, it is trauma, But apart from that, people could be compensated. Descendants, those who work for the 3,000
Ambassador, are you there? Ambassador, okay, so I want to take the opportunity as Ambassador reconnect.
people, they were compensated. If
Okay, so we lost Ambassador again. Welcome, Leviticus. I know you had issues.
so too, when you look at the
Mhm.
and when you look at the Caribbean islands too, okay, because when you look at the Caribbean island, our people in the Caribbean islands also need to be paid. But the issue, like we all agree, is that who do we pay to, if at all will be paid? But like my brother mentioned, my brother, the Black Jew mentioned, we as Black people need to come together. We need to be conscious of today. We need to be conscious of tomorrow. But there's always someone somewhere, which brings me to the thought of the old people in the Americas back to Africa, and they came up with what they call Back to Africa movement. But you see, in the beginning, the Back to Africa movement, which was to unite Africa diaspora and the motherland Africa together, when Marcus Garvey began, they didn't see him as a threat. Okay, because they thought, who the hell is he? Or who the hell was he? And can he really achieve it? But when they realized that engineers, medical doctors were joining his organization, it became a threat to them. And they realized that, you mean all these people will leave the US, will leave diaspora and go to Africa? Automatically, imagine if it have worked. Imagine what Africa will have become. But do you know what they did? They sent an agent among him and his organization to disrupt his organization. So, what I'm trying to say in essence is that we know what to do. We are not beggars. We need to look inward. But for compensation, if truly, if so, those who say that, who say that we should not be paid, I don't think they have, because it happened hundreds of years ago, and the parent is their parent who did it. That is not an excuse. Okay, that is not an excuse. 3,000 people, families were paid in England, and these 3,000 people that were paid own enslaved people. So if they own enslaved people, they still know some of them, they could still be paid.
Yeah.
But what do we do with the money is a big issue. But we also
Yeah.
need to look at the psychological trauma, what is going on in our lives as Black people. It is very, very important.
Wonderfully said. Wonderfully said. I think you know. I was about to ask about what would be our response to people who is of descendants for plantation owner descendants that argues that they shouldn't be paying reparations for something that they haven't done. I think you touched on that, Anago, Ambassador. But I will come to Leviticus because Leviticus was trying all well, it's night over there to come on screen with us. Glad to know he have resolved the technical issues. Leviticus, welcome. You hearing me? You can unmute your mic. Who? Leviticus, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, welcome, my brother. So what I would do, I know you have been listening. You can, I know there are some things you want to say. So go ahead, speak from the heart.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know where I'm going to take it from, or maybe I don't know where I should start from. But let me start from a point of reparation.
Mhm.
You know how I understand the reparation. It's a way of compensation, maybe for a mistake done, or maybe something that has been done to somebody. So a way of compensating a certain mistake is what we call reparation. That is how I understand it. But when we talk about reparation right now, it is something that we should keep off our mouths. It is something that we should keep off our minds. It is something we shouldn't be talking about it. It is something we should get rid of it completely. Because if I may ask a question, right now, if we have to talk about reparation, how is it going to help us? And how is the compensation going to help us? It's like you're trying to tell me that every damage that was done to the African people and every bad things, all the messes that was done to the African people, to the land of Africa, can be compensated. How many things that have been done to us since the days of our ancestors, since that time when they came to our land, they invaded our land, they made bad use of our people, they took our people into slavery. So are you telling me that all the things the people, those people that did to us can be compensated, or they can pay for everything they did unto us? That is what you're saying. If we're talking about reparation, then you're trying to tell me every damage that was caused into this land, it can be repaid. Whatever was done to the land of Africa, whatever was done to the people of Africa, there are a lot of things they cannot be paid, they cannot be compensated. No amount of money can be used to compensate everything that was done. The best thing that these people can do to us is to give us time to start from the scratch,
Yeah.
because we have the ability, because we have the strength, because we can do it. So it is for them to give us an opportunity to go out of our country, to leave us in our country, so that we can take things from the scratch ourselves, because we have that opportunity and we are able to do that. If we can just sit down and decide, we can do it, and we can get to a point that we never expected we can be. But if we are going to sit down and start talking about reparations, that we need to be, because you know the problem we have as Africans is not about the maybe it's not about the damage, it's not about what they did to us. The problem we are having right now, it is the way we are leading ourselves, the way we are guiding ourselves, the way we are running our nations. That is the biggest problem we have right now. Because sometimes we sit down and say that we are not colonized, that we gained independence. Sometimes we sit down and say that we are free from the maybe from the westerners and from the white people. Sometimes we sit down and convince ourselves that we are not into captivity anymore. But the truth is that if
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
the truth is that if we check in ourselves, if we begin looking at how we are governing ourselves, at the system of leadership that we are having in Africa right now, it will tell you that we are still very far from where we are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Even if reparation is going to happen, even if we are going to be compensated for everything that was done into our land and to our ancestors and to the people of Africa, now how and which criteria is going to be used for that compensation to happen? Are we going to pay leaders? Are we going to compensate? Because you don't tell me that someone will walk around to every single Kenyan, or maybe every single home, repaying for the mistakes they did. We need to forget about reparation. The biggest thing and we should be focusing about right now is for us to ask these people to get rid of our nations, to get out of our countries, so that we can be able to start afresh. Let me tell you something. We are not so far from being great people. We are not so far from being great nations, because everything that is happening in the Western countries right now, their development, their way of life, their wealth is coming from Africa. That tells you how far Africa is. That tells you how capable Africa is. That tells you how we are able to start from the scratch, and we get to a point that we never expected we can be. So we should stop talking about reparation. We shouldn't be talking about reparation right now, because it's not going to help us. It cannot help us in any way. So let me ask you a question. How much money, if it's about money, how much money are they going to provide, or maybe to give out, to be able to compensate all the damages that they did the people of Africa?
Yeah.
Do you know why they are still in Africa? They are still in Africa today because they know if they can get out, or if they get out of Africa, they are not going to be, or maybe they are not going to live the way they are living today. So the best thing we can do right now is to ask them out of Africa, and they should leave our land so they can be able to start from the scratch. Reparation, the issues of reparation, the things of compensation, I don't think it's a good idea, because even if they have to do that, which criteria are they going to use to do that?
What beautifully said. I want to acknowledge my viewers, those in the comment section. Pedro says, what you have just said is very true. Pedro have always been always speak against reparations, and he thinks that, Africans, there are some Africans that, have something to do with paying of reparation. That some Africans should pay reparation because their hands wasn't clean in the slave trade. Ambassador, I will let you respond to that. Black Geo, and I will come to you, Kenyan Beast. But let me get Ambassador. What will be your response to people who says, we should not be even thinking about reparations for now, which because I've beautifully explained, because there are some Africans that have been at fault as well in betraying the people and stuff, and they should be paying reparations as well. What would be your response to that?
When you look at, you know, like I said earlier, for viewers that have been listening to me, I said uh, this issue is deeper than the eyes can see. Because if you go to Benin Republic, you go to Togo, you go to part of some places in Ghana, you go to Liberia, and you come to Nigeria, and you go to the interlands. You see, these slave stories that they tell us, is deeper than what it is. The question is, who benefited from the slave trade? Who benefited?
Yeah.
Because through my tours and travels, through the trans Atlantic slave trade tours that I've organized, I realized that even those whose ancestors participated or probably partnered with Europeans, their descendants today, you need to see how they live. They did not benefit anything from it. And I'll give you an instance. Like in Badagry, there's a former slave trader who used to be a slave. He returned from Brazil. His master sent him back from Brazil so that he will represent him here in West Africa. So when he came back, he was working for his master trained him as a slave trader. In Brazil, he was a slave who was trained to be a slave trader because of his intelligence. And his master sent him back to West Africa. And when he came back to West Africa, they set him up as a slave trader, working for his master in Brazil. Okay. But the value of some of the items in the museum there, I'm talking about Siriki Williams Abaz.
Hmm?
The value of an umbrella that time was 40 human beings. The value of an umbrella. So when you go to Siriki Abbas compound today, some of the things I see there makes me feel bad because I didn't see what, although it was very, very great due to his own personal intelligence, but his descendants today, they have nothing to show for his participation that time. But of course, the umbrella is there. The value of a plate in Badagry was 5 human beings. Okay, but another thing is who determine the prices of these items? It is the slave traders themselves. And you must know that from day one, when the Europeans came with their ship, from day one, they built slaving instruments. They already know why they are coming to Africa. They came to Africa purposely for economic reason, and they are still benefiting from the economic reason why the Europeans came. What did Africa benefited? The descendants of these people we are talking about go to their villages, go to their towns across West Africa. Let's use West Africa as a case study. Go across West Africa, and you see that they have nothing to show. They did not benefit anything from it. And who are we talking about? How many are these people? They were used and dropped. They used them to get what they want, and they dropped them. So the question is this: who benefited from the transatlantic slave trade? Who benefited from the trans-Saharan slave trade? What did Africa benefit? We didn't benefit anything. Even the descendant of these people you are talking about, they were snitches that partnered with Europeans, did not benefit anything. When you come to Badagry, for instance, there are families here, because the slave history we are talking about is deeper, is very, very deep. Now, in Badagry, we have 8 quarters in Badagry. And when the Europeans came, they have their ways that they have partnered with. They have their ways of making people believe in them. And Africans, being who they are, friendly people. And of course, we have our own problems. They realized that there were internal crises, and they used our own internal crisis to get what they want. For instance, they don't know how to get to the interland. So if they don't know how to get to the interland, they have already, because they learn, they understudied the Arabs.
Yeah.
When we talk about slave trade, they studied the Arabs. So how do they get to the interlands? And they have heard that there was gold here. They came and they took things away. But my point is this: who benefited from the transatlantic slave trade? Because today, descendants of those who worked with the Europeans are shadows of themselves. Today, I've met so many families whose ancestors were involved, and you need to see what their family compound look like. You need to see what their descendants are today. They benefited nothing. So who will compensate? If anybody will pay, if anyone will compensate, because we believe that reparation reparation is like we are beggars, and we don't believe in it. I don't believe in reparation because I don't want to beg. But if, like I said earlier, if 3,000 families were compensated in England, okay, around that time in 1837, if about 3,000 white families are compensated, I'm saying that those in England, black people in England should be compensated. Black people in the Caribbean islands should be compensated. I'm not saying Africans, we here in the motherland. If they will pay us in Africa, what they can do for us is that now some countries are in debt in Africa. Let them forfeit all those debts and say, okay, we let go of those debts. Because in the first instance, how did we even come about those debts? IMF will come to corrupt African leaders and ask them to collect loan to develop their communities. They only collect money and they don't do anything. My brother, the transatlantic slave trade reparation is very deep. We as people of African descent, we as black people need to come together. We need to be united. There are some people sitting down somewhere who don't want black people in Africa and black people in diaspora to unite. But
Yeah.
honestly, reparation simply means we are beggars, and we
As
are
we
not beggars.
powerfully said. As you can see, it's happening now. I lost connection. Everything just going down. Whenever we comes to conversation like this, somebody's looking to sabotage the thing. But we are back online. I'm coming to you, Black Geo. Black Geo, I know you have some things to say because you have been there for a while. I will come to Kenyan Beast. He have been there for a while as well. So, Black Geo, with all that being said, I want to ask the question: should we, let's put it that way, should we focus when it comes to reparations? When it comes to reparations, should we, throw out that thought of money and focus on developing ourselves? Coming together as Black people, like Burkina Faso. I think a very good example when it comes to reparation. We can talk about Burkina Faso, what Ibrahim Traoré is doing there. I think Burkina Faso, that's my opinion, is enjoying reparations. They have kicked out the French. They have nationalized their resources, and he's rebuilding his people. So, Black Geo, should the UK and other colonial masters, should they pay reparations to us? And let me hear what your thoughts on that.
Okay, well, I agree with everybody on the panel, and we're gonna look at it this way. We're dealing with 300 years of startup. These countries we talk about, they have 300 years over us of building their economies, rebuilding their economies, fighting each other. The Spain fought the French fought the Spain, whatever. And these cities came about: Paris, New York City, Frankfurt, Dublin. These all the cities that were built off our struggle, all our resources, our people. And now these countries are world powers, and we're talking about maybe over $400 billion compensation that we're even thinking about. So it can't only be about money, because even if these people say they will give up their money, we're going to that Africa. We got to start looking at Africa as poor. Yeah, we may look poor, but it's the richest continent in the world. We are not poor people. If the reason why the white people and the Asians are in Africa, because they're telling you to go to Mars. They want you to go to Mars, and Mars to them is Africa. Yes. Why do you think they're in Africa? They're getting that melanin. They're trying to reproduce themselves. It's more about money. They know that they're not that many on the earth. So guess what? All the Europeans going to be? They're going to be in Africa. Guess what? All the Indians going to be? They're going to be in Africa. Guess what? All the Arabs. You know why? Because that's their Mars. They're telling us Black people to go to Mars and Pluto. They want us to leave this earth. They're going and they're taking over Africa. We're talking, and guess what? They will gladly give up their cold London for beautiful Nairobi, beautiful Johannesburg. Trust me, I've been to these countries, because when they get to your country, they go to their country just to make money. They go retire in Africa. They go retire even in Grenada. Our nations, they live better than us. So no, we never going to say it's not about money, because that just can't be the only thing. Now, for me, money is probably the 1% of the thing that if I was in the room with real people, I will be talking about. 1%, money, cool. But what resources are we giving? Are we giving our land back? Are we giving the resources? Do we own our gold from our coltan lands from Congo? Do we own our agriculture from Liberia to Kenya? Do we own our automobile industries? Do we own our health industries? Do we own our food supply industry? So that's what we need to start looking at for. It's never going to just be about money, especially for me, because we're talking about 300 years behind these people, over $400 billion behind these people. So it can't be about money, because half of our generation won't even see this money. But if our generation is going to bring up topics about reparations, we got to be the generation to bring about what systems are we getting back. Now, 30, 40 years from now, that generation should worry about money. We, the generation, should worry about what systems are we getting back. Are we even getting our waters back? Are we getting our lakes back? Yeah, so our generation needs to think about something different, because some of us don't even deserve money. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I know some people out there think I'm talking crazy. No, some of y'all don't deserve money.
No, but
I hope
you're
you
right.
hear this on your man live.
You're right.
Yeah.
Because
You go outside.
There are some of us, if we get the money, it only makes matters worse.
Yeah. I'm more about organization.
Kenyan Beast, because time is already limited. Kenyan Beast, you can go ahead and speak, my brother.
Yeah. What was the last question you asked?
Yes, I asked the question. Well, we all are coming to the agreement that reparation is more than money. But I think but the Black George just mentioned our land, our water. These are things that should be given back. I think Julius Malema always speak about the land, taking back the land and all of these things. That is a form of reparations. So you can go ahead and speak on that.
Okay. First of all, I want to speak about something that is currently happening. I think you all are familiar with the Pala scandal of South Africa. This was the money that was given to the people because of Corona, but it never went to them. Now, if we talk about something big like reparation, First of all, we are starting with making our country clean. If a president of a certain country like South Africa could hide money that was given by World Health Organization because of Corona, the Palapala scandal, the president himself was involved. So when we talk about the reparation, are we sure it will come to the people? Now, let me go to the issue of land. When I talk about the issue of land, giving land to the people, let me tell you example with the Kenyan, the first president of Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta, who we all think is a hero of Kenya, but personally, I think he's the father of sellout. When the colonizer gave the country to him, the first thing he did, because some of the land were given back to him so that he can give back to the people. The first thing he did with the land, he gave the land to his relative and he gave the land to his close friends. So the people who were supposed to get the land legally did not get the land. They were told, now we have another law, you must purchase back the land. So yes, some things like land should be given back as a way of reparation. But first of all, we must start with clearing our countries. We must start with clearing corruptions in our country. We must start with putting leaders who have the interest of the people at heart. We should not keep politicians at the power, as I say always, so that because if this land, because here, for example, here in Nairobi or in Kenya, we have white settlers too who have these large tracts of land. So they will decide, okay, these large tracts of land, let us give back to the people of Kenya. So we do what? Let us give to the government. So the government should give to the people. Now, do you want to tell me when this land is being given to William Samoei Ruto, do you want to tell me he will give back to the people? Do you want to tell me he'll give back to the people this land? He won't give it back because it's a lot. It's a lot. First of all, for us, I'll give an example. An example like just your house, your home, there where you are, your home. Maybe you are fighting for land, you and your siblings fighting for that family land, and then the government come and took this land, and now it is time the government says that now I want to give back the land to you people because now you share to itself, and yet you have not settled the issues you have between yourself. You will be given back the land, and again you will start fighting for the land. So the one thing we need to do is to make sure that as a country, as Africans, as one of my brothers said here, we need to come together and work together and say that the people of Africa have suffered a lot.
But how do we do that? We talk about coming together, right? All for now is just well, I mean, what we are doing here, I see it as a step of coming together. But most of the time we talk about unity, but it's just words. How do we do that? I will give Leviticus the opportunity to respond to that. Leviticus, how do we do that? Kenyan, go ahead. All right, Kenyan, go ahead, and then I'll go to Leviticus.
Pardon?
You go ahead. You respond to the question, and then I'll come to Leviticus. Yeah.
So I'm saying, when we talk about cleansing, there's something in African culture we call cleansing. Hey, you go to the river, you cleanse the family, you cleanse. We call cleansing. We need to cleanse our countries, and if I'm not wrong, that's what maybe Ibrahim Traore is doing. If I'm not wrong, because I'm not in Burkina Faso, but from the things I'm hearing, that's what Ibrahim Traore is doing, because he is cleansing the land of Burkinabe. And by cleansing the land of Burkinabe, each and everything will go back to the people of Burkinabe, being agriculture, being, each and everything. So even if reparation, if it's money of land or land is given to Ibrahim Traore, so that they can give to the people. I am 100% sure if Ibrahim Traore is whom we think or we hear he will give it to the people. But if that reparation money or the land will be given to the Palapala scandal guy Ramaphosa, it will not go back to the people. If it will be given to William Ruto, it will not go back to the people. So we need first by starting to cleanse ourselves, and that's why we have people like Anagos, or we have people like Black Geo. We have Pan-African trying to to make people understand what we need to do, because
Yeah.
right now we are still under the spell of the colonizer. We are still under the brainwashing system. We are still under the system. We are still we are just still under some sort of bondage that we need to break we need to break out of it. If we do that, if our countries are being cleansed, now we can start talking about reparations, giving back the land. We will be sure that the land will go to the right person, because the land cannot go back. I wonder how the family of my first president, Uhuru Kenyatta or Jomo Kenyatta, have large tracts of land, and yet they did not go to the forest to fight for independence. I wonder how the family of my second president, Daniel Arap Moi, has the large tracts of land, and yet he did not go to fight for independence. So, what are you telling me? That reparation I will give you? Okay, for me, if if this reparation has to be given, let us give it to the people, maybe because we know there is some people who are sold, or our cousins, our brothers who are sold to slavery. Okay, let us start with them. If it's just we need to give them, let us start with them. But if we are bringing that money here in African countries and or giving the land back, my friend, we are not ready for this discussion as Africans. We are not ready for these discussions as,
Yeah.
as Ghanaians, as Nigerians. We are not
Yeah.
ready.
One person in the comment section says we could never come together because we value the West more than ourselves. We are not thinking. We just following the colonial masters and his ways. Leviticus, how would you respond to that?
Let me say this, and I've said it again, and I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. The biggest problem that we have, the biggest problem in Africa is not the people, it's not the citizens of Africa, it's not the people of Africa. The biggest problem we have is the systems, the political systems we're having in Africa. That is the biggest problems we have. And in Africa, when especially in Kenya, when we are harvesting maize, this is what we do. We go to the store, we clean the store when we are about to harvest maize, and then after harvesting, we harvest after the stores have been cleaned, like it has been cleansed, so that when we bring maize or our harvest into the store is clean. Now, Africa is like a store, and a lot of things have happened in Africa recently, and they started a long time ago. We have been compromised so much. The leaders we are having have been compromised, and they have been compromised by the Europeans and the Westerners. And it's going to be very difficult if we are going to talk about reparations and we haven't checked ourselves. Number one, we should start by checking ourselves first, because if this money has to come in, where is it coming? And to whose hands is this money coming to land? Corruption, it has been like a daily bread in our countries. In Africa, corruption is something normal. It is something we do in the morning when we wake up. It is something we do in the afternoon. It is something we do at night. We sleep corruption. We wake up corruption. We don't think of anything else. We think about corruption. Our leaders are corrupt. Everybody is corrupt. We are corrupt left, right, center. There is nothing you can do. And let me tell you something. If the leaders of Africa are not going to change, then we're going to have a very big problem. Even
Yeah.
this fight we are in right now as the youths, even the fight we are having right now as the people existing, as the Pan-Africanists existing, it's not going to land us anywhere if we are going to continue having the same leaders we are having. Talk of Burkina Faso. We've been speaking of Burkina Faso time and again. And Burkina Faso changed not because they elected a good leader. Burkina Faso changed because someone arose, someone who said they are not going, like, it's not going to continue like this anymore. We have to do a change.
Yeah.
And this guy took power by himself, and that is why Burkina Faso is in the state that it is right now. I want to tell you something, and you may agree with me or not agree with me, but the truth sometimes is bitter. The only reparation that can happen, if they want to pay us, if they want to compensate us, the only thing they can do, the only compensation we want, the only payment we want, is for these people to exit Africa. If they can exit Africa, that is the best thing they can do to us. That is the best thing they would have done, they can do to us. Like, it is the only biggest thing, the only good thing, the only wonderful and exciting thing they can do to us. They should leave our political matters, our political issues, the issues of deciding political leaders for us, the issues of deciding leaders for us, the issues of being the system that are guiding Africa. That is one thing we do not want. Let me tell you something. Africa is being led by people we don't know. The people of Africa who does not have knowledge, they think that African countries are being led by African presidents. Like, for example, Kenya is not being led by William Ruto. William Ruto is a guy who has been placed there by the Westerners, by the white people, to lead us. He's a puppet to the US. And therefore, we think we are governing ourselves. But deep down, we're not governing ourselves. A lot of money is coming to Africa. We have gone to the IMF. We've borrowed money, a lot of money. African countries are owing these countries a lot of money, especially IMF. We have been having the same issue recently in Kenya, where the cabinet secretaries, the CS for Treasury, where they were going to IMF to borrow money. And this money, when it comes in, it's a lot of money, yes, but it's not helping us. Our countries have been at the same point time and again, always. It is not moving forward, it is not going backward, it has stuck, it has stagnated to a certain point where it can't go forward, it can't come backwards. And you know why is it happening that way? It is happening that way because we are having leaders who are corrupt. When money comes, if it is 1 billion, if it's let me say, if it is 100 bob, 70 shillings goes to the pocket of people, and then 30 shillings remain for the running of the country. If it is 500 shillings, 400 shillings goes to the pockets of people, and that is what is happening. So everybody wants to grab his portion, and then the countries are left with nothing. Now, if the money that we are borrowing every day in these in the IMF and many other countries, if this money that we're borrowing every day cannot help us as Africa.
Okay. Leviticus, your mic is muted. Unmute your mic. Yeah.
Yeah, how is this money going to help us if the money we have been borrowing time and again is not even helping us? We have been going to the IMF to borrow money, it is going to the pockets of people. Now you want to do like, we are forcing for the reparation, for the compensation of the damages that have been done to the to our people, to our ancestors, to Africa. We are forcing for that money. How is it going to help us? Because I believe if we have not been able to build our countries by the money we've been borrowing up to this point, then even if we're going to be given billions of money, it is not going to help us. Number one thing, we should start by uprooting our countries. We should start by ourselves first.
Yeah.
We start by ourselves first. We should start by getting leaders who are ready to liberate, who are ready for the change. We should
Sure.
start by actually doing what? Recruiting leaders who are ready to take our countries forward. Leaders who will say no to the compromisations. Leaders who are going to say no to humiliation. Leaders who
Yeah.
are not going to be told, we want you to go left, and they go left. We want you to go right, and they go right. Leaders who are not going to be asked what to do, to be told what to do. That is the first thing we're supposed to, we should start with. Number two, when we are done with now making our countries, when we are done with shaping our countries, the next thing we should do after shaping our countries now is now asking these people to leave our countries. We don't need payment, we don't need compensation, we don't want them to pay us. We only want them to leave our countries and leave us with the affairs of our countries. Because we think as Africans, we think sometimes we got independence, but the truth is that we have never gotten independence. That is the truth. You may agree with me or you may not agree with me. We were only told now you are independent. We were only told now you can govern yourselves. The only thing they did, they left. But their system is still governing us day and time, day and night. That is what it is happening in Africa. So we need, first of all, to make sure we have full control of our issues, we have full control of our matters, we have full control of our countries. Like what is happening in Burkina Faso today. Burkina Faso is going to grow very fast because now the person who has taken over Burkina Faso is someone who is serious with what he is doing, is someone who knows my people need to be this way and to live this way. He knows the interests of the people of Burkina Faso. And if Africa is going to do that, to do that, if all the countries of Africa are going to follow the steps of Ibrahim Traore, then we don't need even to be we don't need to be compensated. We don't need their money. We don't need anything. We only need, because we have everything. We have all it takes to get where we want to be. We have all it takes to be the richest countries, to be the richest continent, because we are the producers of gold. We are we have the biggest mining fields here in Africa. Everything that we need, we have here in Africa. We have the potentials. We are capable. There is nothing we cannot do. So these people should leave our country. Once they leave our country, we are good to go forward. But even if they decide to compensate us and still stay in our countries, there is nothing we can do. They can compensate us today for the damages they did, but if they are going to compensate us and still remain in our countries, I tell you, brother, there is nothing we're going to do. No, we are not going to go forward. We shall continue remaining at the same point forever. Let them not pay us. Let them not compensate us, but let them leave our countries. Once they leave our countries, that is enough compensation, and that is enough to make us go forward to an extent we never expected we can go.
Well said, well said. Back to you. I will come to you and we will end on this note. This was a deep discussion. I enjoyed the panel discussion. We can go on and on, but because of time, we have, they say all good things must come to an end. So, Black Geo, yes. So, Kenyan Beast, I think you have okay. Who wants to go first?
Can I just say one last thing before I go, because I see my battery is dying, and then I go.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So, of all the things we have talked about, and all the Pan-Africans who are here and the people who are listening, as Africans or as Black people, we let us don't focus on reparation much. Let us focus on liberating Africa. Let us focus on liberating our countries with political liberation, where we allow free and fair election. We allow Pan-African unity. We fight against corruption, decentralization of power, where we can make our decisions by ourselves. If it's Kenya, we make our own decisions in Kenya. Not that you are in Kenya and decision making is being made in Geneva, Switzerland, or decision making is being made in France, or is being made in Germany. So let us focus on liberation, political liberation, economic liberation, where we like what Ibrahim Traore is doing, encouraging entrepreneurship, investing in infrastructure. These are we liberate ourselves through social and cultural liberation. Like, we don't leave our culture. Like, a lot of countries are focusing in Western culture. Let us focus on cultural liberation. When we hold on our own culture, we will liberate ourselves. Because if we change everything and start doing as them, that's where we will be fully brainwashed. But let us focus in these things. Like,
Yeah.
if a man
True.
lives his or her own culture, it's
True.
done. If you live your own culture, you are doomed. So let us liberate ourselves in cultural too. I have seen in Burkina Faso where President Ibrahim Traore has told students to go with uniforms, the uniforms of students to be like in a cultural way, like you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what we are trying to do. Geopolitical liberation. We African nations should deal with their political issues by themselves. We don't want to see France interfering with issues of Africa. We don't want to see UK interfering with issues of political. We don't want to see USA interfering with the democracy of our countries. We don't want to see the corporations like IMF, the World Bank interfering with the political issues of our countries. This is what we call
Yeah.
geopolitical liberation. We have to focus on those issues. We have to focus on, resources liberations. Like, we cancel illegal mining. We control our own resources. Not to leave our resources to China, to Russia to run them. If we do that, we are not getting equality, because they are getting 90%, they are giving us 10% from our own resources, and that 10% they are giving us, the government is taking 9% and giving 1% to the people. So if you see these videos, like if you see videos in Africa where people are mining, local people are mining, how they are mining these things, it's like they're in a poverty way, but the people who are eating these things that we are mining, no, they are living good. There's no way, no any day, these local people from Congo, DRC, deep down the village, will have good life, because the percentage that is getting to them is only 1%. So when we liberate Africa from geopolitical, when we liberate Africa from what we call economic liberation, when we liberate Africa from political liberation, when all these things is done, then we will talk about reparation. And that's what Ibrahim Traore is doing. He is liberating. He is liberating Burkina Faso through agriculture, through technology. That's why he's looking friends in Russia, because he have seen France is not a good friend. So he's trying another friend, because we all have to do with friends, even if we are capable. Yes, my brother Leviticus have said we are capable of doing anything, but we need to look for friends so that we can run these things well. So I will leave it here. I want Black Geo to, if he will
Yeah.
conquer with
So
me,
yes.
saying that
Black Geo.
we need to liberate Africa first,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
political, economical, cultural. So after that, after all this liberation, that's where our countries, we will start talking about reparation, because we know these reparations will go to the right people. Look, a country like Mozambique, people are in the street because of political issues, and I am sure that those issues, there's some hands from geopolitical, some hands are there, some hands that are foreign hands are there, and that's why you see it's not free and fair election, and people are in the road. So if these people are in the road because we cannot manage the country's fight after election, can we manage a large tracts of land being given back to Africans? So we need to liberate Africa first before we start talking about reparation of land, reparation, everything. That's for
Well
me
said.
today. Thank you so much for hosting me, Africa
Well said.
Caribbean. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Well said. Well said. The Black Geo. I will give you the last words, and we will close off.
Well, I agree with Kenyan B. We should look at what America did for Ukraine when Ukraine was going through what they went through Russia. Americans don't speak Ukraine. Now one thing people don't know is outside of Ukraine, the biggest community of Ukrainians are actually in Chicago. You know that. So when Biden went and dropped off all that money to Ukraine, that's for a reason. You know why? Yeah, they paid for their alliances. They don't care if they're Ukraine. They don't care if they speak English. We're white people. That's the same thing we got to start doing. Because the white people know whoever controls the resources in Africa controls their destiny in the world. Now, us black people, that's why the white men and the Indians are there. Because they see, and this goes for the American Africans also on the continent, because they are the wealthiest blacks on the earth in America. But the difference between us in America and the Grenadians, at least Grenadians have your own African nation. So we can start there, right? In America, Africans, after the American Africans got all that money, but they're still under one government. There's no way you can differentiate as yourself as a black American as a regular American. You understand? So we need to create alliances, especially American Africans. There, you got to start to we got to come collectively and choose nations that we invest in. Forget about the Chinese going over there investing. We got to start investing in our nations collectively. That's why I got to start, and it's sacrifice. But we have to go choose and say, okay, Grenada, Kenya. Those two countries we're going to invest in for the next 10 years. But then when Grenada and Kenya see this money coming from the American Africans or the whatever African side of the country or the world, that those governments have to come up with agreements, alliances for your people. Like Ruto is always talking about, oh, we're going to give a free. My brother, I've been coming to Kenya for 7 years. I also live in Kenya. I've been waiting for my visa from Ruto for a long time. I always got to pay for a new visa when I get there. Okay? That's the thing. We got to start having real alliances, because if we go over there and start investing $400 million here, $400 million here, then we got to start having, okay, you get free visas to this country. Okay? Or you get free business contracts when you come here. That's where it starts. It starts from us breaking away from these European cities, European countries, westernized cities. We come back to the continent. We come back to the islands. You guys have to take us in. Look at us as your own. And then we have to look at the other side and say, what can we add into what you already have? Before we even look for reparations, we all know the whole world owes us. Forget about white people. The whole world owes us from here to Australia. They know. So forget about that. What are we going to do for ourselves? And that starts from the American Africans, the Africans on the continent, the Africans in the islands. Let's come up with collective bargain. Which country are we going to invest in? Before we talk about reparations, which country are we all going to invest in so we start building up that economy? Because that's why you think the black geos in Kenya. I could be in Liberia doing my business, right? No, I chose Kenya for a certain reason, political reason, geopolitics. And guess what? No matter if my money is over there running around in Kenya, it still reaches to Liberia. It still reaches to Nigeria. You see me in Brazil, right? Yeah. Yeah, it starts in Africa and it reaches all the way to Brazil. That's why I'm not on cam right now. I'm in Brazil about to go shoot another episode. That's what I'm talking about. We have to find ways to bring our money to our African nations and see how it starts from there and go across the world. Because regardless, whatever we do in Africa is going to go across the world. We are international people. Everybody in the world wants to come back to our land. You know, so white people want to come there because they know Africa is the creator of mankind. Okay, the friends know they need that petroleum from Mali and them. That's why they didn't talk too much. They're actually trying to negotiate with the people. It's not like they know how powerful Africa is, so they know they need that petroleum. You know, these countries know that you need Africa, but you know, in a sense wise, we just have to start. As much as the Chinese are investing in Africa, we gotta invest double that amount. Don't matter. We going to. I'm going to America. Got investments. I got to. But guess what? If they come to our continent, we can't complain. They're spending their money. So guess what we need to do? Spend it 4 times more, so the people on the continent know. Yeah, we got some money from China, but when we got 10 more from our own people, it's gonna look better. We'll be the ones building up these highways in these countries. We'll be the one building up hospitals. But we can't complain with other nations. Other people are coming there, building these companies, and then Ruto's giving these people contracts or places to live. Yeah, because guess what? He don't see me. He don't see my people. He don't see a group of Grenadians saying, yo, we want a Grenadian neighborhood here, so we're gonna invest $200 million in your economy. That's how you get plans for your people. You know, these Indians come as a collective. They come to the government and say, look, we already have $100 million. We want to make sure that we already have a side of town for us. We have certain jobs in place for us, for our people, when they come in from abroad. You know, they do that and they invest. See, black people, once you start talking about money, and I ain't talking about money given to us, I'm talking about your own money given out, then guess what happens? This live goes off. The phone calls get short. Exactly. When we start talking about money, we gotta stay on the phone for a long time. Get it done. Let's stop thinking that people got to give us something. No, we got to give stuff to the world because this generation already has half of the things our last generation, the things that we complain about, they didn't have this. Okay, we actually have things in place that we can go today, get things done. You know what I'm saying? I can actually go across the world and get things done. We have to actually love what we do and do it. Stop talking about it and do it. You know, that's where it comes from. We sitting up here on lives. We watching people, other nations. I told you I travel back and forth to Africa every month. I see other nations putting their money, their mouth is money where their mouth is. Yeah, they don't talk about it. They talk about it in the synagogue. They talk about it in the church hall, and then guess what? They go do it. We go to church, we leave church. We don't talk about no political. We don't talk about nothing business. We go to church, we leave. Them guys, they go to their synagogue, they go to their church after praying. Guess what they do? They politicize. Yeah, they come together and say, yeah, it was a great prayer. So now how can we build the convenience store in all these black neighborhoods? Because when you go in America, every neighborhood has the same Arab family, same Arab store, and they all connected from I don't care what state. Yeah, they do that for a reason. After they finish praying, they get to business. So we gotta do the same thing. Miss me with all we can pray for 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and after we finish praying, let's get to work. Okay, guys, that's all I got to say.
Yeah. Thank you, my brothers, and we have to end it here. I want to thank all my viewers who have logged in. Those of you who have not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, ring the notification bell, right? Because we have many more of live session like this coming up. It was a wonderful.
And let me say, can I say one thing? Because I see you have a comment from the Lions Den. He said, if you don't want us to get at nothing, then how you think we should give to Africa? Africa and Muslims enslaved us and had a hand in translating slavery. I just told you. We know that. I just told him that. We know that. But what are you giving to your people? Okay? Because guess what? The people can give us money, and you the same person who will go out and go buy tennis shoes. You're gonna go out and buy beer and liquor. Now tell me, if you got a whole industry, organization, schools, stuff you're working on, cool. I apologize. Yeah, you need to get that man some money so he can go get it done. But if you're not building that and you just need the money so you can go buy yourself some food and shoes, we're not talking about that. Okay? We real reparations for real things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, panel. We lost Ambassador Anago. Maybe his phone battery died or his connection went dead. And also Kenyan Beast, his battery died. But you know, I think they contributed enough to the topic on this panel. Leviticus, thank you very much, my dear friend, for accepting my invitation. Black Geo, it was a pleasure you being here, joining us all the way from Brazil. Yeah. So thank you very much, my brother. All the best in your future endeavors when it comes bringing us real content, real views.
Real content, real views. Better like and subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. My viewers, thank you very, very, very much. God bless you all. Take care. Until next time.